Okay, so the chemical formula for water is H2O. Pretty cool. If we have 3,600 grams of water, what is the weight of the oxygen? So this little key here tells us how much each thing weighs, and this tells us how much hydrogen we have and how much oxygen we have. So we're going to start with a ratio box. So we have H, and we have O, and we have total. All right, hydrogens, oxygens, and total. And so each hydrogen in the molecule has 2, and each oxygen has 1. We're not going to do total until we get to the total column. I'll show you that. All right, my next one, this little key tells us what each one weighs. So each oxygen is 16 grams. So next to my oxygen, I'm going to put a 16. Each hydrogen is 1 gram, so I'm going to put that there. We're going to keep extending this. All right, so we have to multiply these. Since I have 2 of them and each one weighs 1 gram, that gives me 2. And since I have 1 of the oxygens and each one weighs 16, we got to multiply those. That gives me 16. We're not going to add here. We're going to add after we multiply. So I'm going to title this my multiplied column. This gives me 18 total. All right. So now it says we have 3,600 grams of water. That would be the total number of grams of water. What is the weight of the oxygen? So I'm going to put my variable here, the weight of the oxygen, and then we're going to cross multiply. Okay, so we've got this times this equals this times this, 18 times x. Divide both sides by 18. Okay, 18 goes into 36 twice. We have those 2 zeros there. And 16 times 200 gives me 3,200. And this would be grams of oxygen. So the only new thing is the multiplying part for this problem. You have to multiply how many are in each molecule times how much each weighs. Okay? Let's try one more of these. So the chemical formula for Freon 12, which is dichloromethane, is CCl2F2. If we have 1,200 grams of Freon 12, that's the whole thing, how much does the carbon weigh? Just the carbon. So this one has a few more in each molecule. We've got how many different things here, you guys? Yeah, that's 3 different things. So we have to do 3 plus the total at the bottom. So we've got C, and we've got Cl, and we've got F, and we've got the total number of molecules. So in my first column, we start with this. The C's, the carbons have 1. My Cl's each have 2. And the Freons have 2, or the F's, okay? And we're not going to total it up yet, okay? And then each carbon weighs 12 grams. Each Cl, is that chlorine, you guys? Chemistry people? 35, okay? And F, each of those is 19. Don't total it up here either. Okay, in the next column we have to multiply so we can get the total weight here. 1 times 12 is 12. 2 times 35 is 70. 2 times 19 is 38. And if we total those up, we get 120. All right. Where am I going to put this 1,200 grams, you guys? In the total, all right? Freon 12 is this entire thing. This whole thing is called Freon 12. So 1,200 goes in the total. And I want to know how much does the carbon weigh. So my variable goes with the C. So we could cross these columns off. We don't need them. And we're going to cross multiply. So the 12 times 1,200. Whoa, I'm running out of room. Equals the 120 times x. Divide both sides by 120. And what do we get? we actually get 120 grams. Okay? All right, quadrilaterals. All right, okay, so we've got trapezoid formula that you guys should just write down so you have it in your notes. I know you guys know that, but add that area of a trapezoid formula. And then we're going to learn some things about parallelograms. There are 4 things that we're going to learn today about parallelograms, and we're going to use those facts to solve. So, raise your hand if you can tell me anything about the opposite sides of any parallelogram. What do you think, Clint? They are parallel. What else? Yes, Jenna-Lynn. You have equal angles? That is good. So actually, we have equal angles that are on opposite sides. All right, so one of the things that we can learn from any parallelogram is that opposite angles are congruent. Okay, opposite angles are congruent. What about the side lengths? That's what I was trying to get at earlier, but you guys went to the angles, so that's fine. Liv, what do you think? Yes. Okay. Opposite side lengths are congruent. So we could also say the pairs of parallel sides are congruent. Okay. One more thing about the angles. Anybody have a guess as to what these two would add up to? These two angles? If you put them side by side? Yes, 180. So, any adjacent angles, whether it's these two, these two, these two, these two, okay? Adjacent angles, add to 180 degrees. So if we know any one of those angles, we can find all the other angles using supplementary angles, and opposite angles are congruent. All right, and the last thing is about the diagonals. All right, so the diagonals are the lines that you draw from opposite corners right here. What we can say about the diagonals is that this piece here is equal to this piece here. And if you go the other way, same thing. So they actually cut each other in half, but the word that we're looking for is that the diagonals bisect each other. Bisect means cut each other in half. Okay? All right, we're going to use those facts to solve some problems with parallelograms. So we've got ABCD as a parallelogram, and the measure of angle ABC, so that would be this angle right here, is 125 degrees. So we want to find the measure of angle BCD, so I want to find this angle here, and the measure of angle DAB, so I want to find that one right there, and then we want to find X and Y. So let's start with the angles. Okay, start with the angles. And raise your hand if you can tell me how to find angle C right here, or write an equation or whatever to start. Liv? Very good. All right, how do we know this? You have to write this down. Adjacent angles add to 180. We don't have a shortcut for it, sorry. You have to write that really fun sentence. You can use little symbols and stuff. Okay? Adjacent angles add to 180. So subtract from both sides, and we get that C is 55 degrees. And angle C is the same as BCD, right? That's the same angle. All right, now we want to find angle A. So Luke, what's angle A equal to? Good. It's equal to C. So it's equal to 55 degrees. The reason is because opposite angles are congruent. So state the reason. Okay, that's all the angles. We found angle A, angle C. Now we need to find x and y. It's almost like a different problem here. X and y have to do with the diagonals. So what do I know about this piece and this piece? Mac, could you write me an equation for that? No. Natalie, could you write me an equation for that? No? Edward, how about Edward? What do you think? You simply... Oh, Edward. Just say no. Teamwork, teamwork. You knew that? That's it, you guys. That's all you have to do. Diagonals bisect. You got to put your reason. So these cross each other, right? And this piece equals this piece. I must have been boring you when I explained it earlier. All right, and now we have to write the other one, except let's just solve that because that's really easy. Subtract 2 from both sides, so x is 4. Okay. Now we want to solve for y. R, what do you think? Good. 2y minus 4 equals 8. So let's add the 4 over to the other side. That's 12. Divide by 2, and we get 6. Same reason, so I'm just going to write it down the one time. Diagonals bisect. Natalie. You can put dB. Yes, if you remember that. All right, last one. What if they just give us a bunch of variables, and we need to find x and y from those angles? We want to start with an equation. Jenna Lynn, what do you think? 8y plus 20 plus 10y. I like it. 8y plus 20 plus 10y plus 70 equals 180. Why is this true? Because adjacent angles add to 180. I used the plus sign instead on that. Adjacent angles add to 180. Okay, why was it a good idea for her to use these two instead of like these two angles? Why these two instead of these two? Yeah, there's only one variable. Okay, so we can actually solve for y. If we would have used the other angle, that would have been kind of challenging to solve. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this. Did you guys already get it? Anybody got it? You got 5? That is right. Okay, so y equals 5. Good job. Who could now write an equation to find x? Or how would you guys go about finding x? Someone else who has not participated. Julie? You could do that. Did you plug in to this guy here? Okay, so she plugged in the 5 here and then added to get 180. What's another way to do it, you guys? Luke? Okay, they're right across from each other. This is the way I would probably do it, is set those equal. So x plus 50 is equal to, and he already put that in his head, but I'm going to plug the y in right there. Okay, so I've used this guy, plugged in what we know y is, and then solve it. So 50 plus 70 is 120. And subtract the 50 from both sides. So x is 70 degrees. Okay, what's my reasoning if I do it this way? Our opposite angles are congruent, you guys. Okay? All right, let's try it on the whiteboards.